Hello and welcome to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video. Now today we're going to be discussing Benedito's vote of no confidence motion and how that's progressing following our first two home games during the censure. So Benedito, of course, has been gathering signatures. His booths are always there, by the way. They're not just available on match day only. He's always gathering signatures, even on days when people aren't necessarily at the Camp Nou for the game. There are still people who walk past, who pass it on their way to work, etc, etc. So Benedito is always working hard to gather signatures, even when it's not match day. But of course, following the Espanyol games, we saw quite a few queues. We saw a lot of lines outside the motion sort of booths that he has set up at the Camp Nou. And he came out after that game and he said so far during the motion, the few days that it had been going on, he had gathered 2,920 signatures. Now we all know that he needs in total, by the end of this month, 16,570 signatures in total from the Sochis in order to get past this first stage in the motion. And he said that after the Espanyol game, so far he was on nearly 3,000 signatures. Today we were expecting another update, but Benedito only really told us what he'd gathered specifically last night from the Juve game. And I think we all felt like that game would be very, very decisive in the motion, simply because of the amount of people at the Camp Nou, the big game that it was. It gathered a lot of attention. But of course, we've been playing so well, we thought that might actually influence the motion in a negative way. But Benedito yesterday was very confident. He said yesterday alone we gathered 3,660 signatures, and tomorrow at 1100 hours local time he will reveal his full amount that he's on right now, which is believed to be around 7,000 and upwards. At the very, very least right now he's on 6,570, and he'll explain tomorrow how many more that he received in the days that weren't match days. And of course, remember that Monday was National Catalan Day. A lot of people out on the streets. You've all seen the photographs. Fantastic day for Catalans. They were all walking the streets of Barcelona, so he was out on that day as well gathering signatures. So he's been very, very dedicated, very clever in the timing of it all, and I think a lot of people are underestimating how well a start this is. I think a lot of people are saying, you know, he's not going to do it. You've got to remember, he's not been doing this too long. He believes that he still has until October the 2nd to gather all of those signatures. In that time, Barcelona will still have two home games to play. On the 19th we play Eibar at home. On the 1st we play Las Palmas at home, so still two more home games in which to gather a significant amount of signatures. And it's also worth noting as well that we do play Girona away on the 23rd of September, so that away game may well be an away game, but it's quite a local one. Fans will be able to go to that game, return in the same day, so that could be an interesting one. If they return and they go to the Camp Nou, he'll be there waiting, of course, if he can get a few more signatures on that day. But there's still a long way to go, guys. There's no need to get downbeat about this. We still need to keep up, you know, the campaigns. We still need to make sure that we're making our voices heard. We still need to continue doing what we have been doing. But I wouldn't get too negative right now. Benedito is doing as well as he can do. The results have been going so well that it's been difficult to really keep up that sensation of, you know, really getting the board out over this time. But I think he's done well. 2,920 from the Espanyol game, 3,660 alone last night against Juventus, and tomorrow Benedito will reveal how many signatures he has received in all the days that he's had so far. It is also worth noting as well that the board believe the end date for this motion, the sort of gathering of the signatures process, they think it should end on Wednesday the 27th of September. And that's very interesting, of course, because that means they're sort of counting Saturday as a working day, and what they're trying to do is cut Benedito's time down by as much as possible. It's going to be very interesting to see which team actually comes out on top there, because Barcelona don't really have the final word. There's a sponsor involved, there's Benedito himself, so it's going to be a lot of debate going on right up until the deadline. But what we do need to know right now is how many is he on. Benedito will announce that tomorrow, so keep check on the social media accounts of mine. I will be letting you know as soon as I hear how many total his votes are currently at. But what he is doing his very, very best. That's all he can do right now. He's got his booth set up. He actually brought in more staff to accommodate the long queues that were forming, because Benedito really wants to avoid those long queues. He brought more booths to the Camp Nou. They were something like 1,300 euros per day to keep them there, so he's sponsoring it. He's got a thing behind it all to fund this, and I think what he's trying to do is trying to get as many people on board to help out with it, to avoid those long queues, to get people very easily voting, and so that it's not really an inconvenience to those who want to, because in those long lines there was families there that might not have, you know, issued their signature if they had to wait a long time. So it's absolutely important that Benedito, in the time that remains, makes it as easy as possible for people in Barcelona and Socis to get their vote down on paper and get their signature. He's got to be careful, of course, though, because they do have to go through a number of checks before you do register that signature. He's got to go through all the Soci ID to make sure their signature is 100% genuine, and of course that they are eligible to vote in this motion. But I think so far he's doing okay. He's progressing his plan. It's going to be interesting tomorrow to see how many signatures he's on officially, and every time in an interview I've seen him, he did say in an interview that he felt like 16,000 was a lot of signatures to gather, but in every interview and every picture I've seen of him, he looks very confident. He says that they're very confident still they will get the signatures to make this motion succeed, and I'm with him so far. I still think it'll happen. I still think we've got to keep going, though. I still think in the home games they've got to really rack up those signatures, and I really do hope that that figure tomorrow is about nearly halfway. That's where you want to be at this point. 16,570 we need. We need to be around the 8,000 mark, or just below that in terms of total signatures so far, if we're going to really make this happen. So stay tuned for that official news tomorrow. I'll be back soon, of course, with more videos, but that was just a quick update on what Benedito is doing and how he's been progressing following our game last night against Juventus. I'll see you very, very soon, guys. But until then, as always, Vesca el Barça!